God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan NAPALM channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon-related content, because that's mainly what we do here, as well as talk about old-school MMORPGs, and of course we're going to be covering WoW Classic. Alright guys, here's the deal. So, in a Pantheon video I released last week, I got this really great comment. I mean, it brought up something that got my mind absolutely reeling. So I want to do a shout out to this subscriber to the channel, thehane91777. He brought up something that I think I've seen it, I've kind of seen it or heard it. I've even heard something similar come out of Brad McQuaid's mouth, but I hadn't really thought about it in this context. So first I'm going to read what he said. So what he was talking about is he was mentioning that EverQuest 1 was special for very particular kinds of reasons, right? And we all say, well, it was a community, it was because it revolved around getting groups and needing other people, that dependency. But as he mentioned, I mean, there's lots of games that have done that afterwards, right? World of Warcraft even. I mean, sure, it's a different kind of group dependency, but at launch, and just like WoW Classic will be, there was also some form of group dependency there. He brought up something really good, which is that, and I'm going to literally read him and then what he said, and then we'll talk about it. The real difference is a more free-form combat system. While a lot of the combat mechanics in EverQuest 1 were unplanned, unintended, it became a staple of the game. Aggro-kiting, fear-kiting, root-rotting, charming of mobs, overbuffing players, twinking. Newer games set all these limitations on their games by implementing systems in their engine, such as tethering or how debuffs like fear fall off fast, to keep players from using a more free-form type of system. You are only allowed to use your tools, spells, exactly how we, the developers, determine. Period. No free thinking or experimentation. Not only that, but it wouldn't matter if you could, because there would be no advantage to do so, due to how easy each particular mob is to kill in newer MMOs. Each and every mob in EverQuest 1 are a challenge to kill when it is relevant. This freeform system extends beyond just combat. From buffing players, which gives us possibilities such as power leveling, to traveling, run speed buffs, levitation, teleports, to even casting spells on a quest NPC to bypass faction requirements. Were a lot of these systems exploitable? Sure, sometimes, but the game was balanced around them over the years. Some of the systems were removed, or blocks made to stop them from happening at all. It still gave the player a lot of freedom in their choices though. Not all limitations felt artificial. So it goes further and more in depth, but that is kind of the point I wanted to talk about today. Because it actually goes way further than that, okay? Because the deal is we kind of have gotten to a point in our enjoyment of games with the game developers that we point the finger at them and say they should have made a system for that, right? They should have designed the game in such a way to cause certain things or to prevent certain things. And I've heard Brad McQuaid, especially on the topic of things like trading, auction houses, that kind of thing in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, unless things have dramatically changed from the original vision, which I highly doubt, then they want it to be more player-based, okay? The way it's been mentioned before is that Visionary Realms gives you the tools you need to set up a spot as a trade hub, but they're not going to tell you where it is, and you need to be in that vicinity. And I don't mean in the same zone, I mean close, within meters of where this hub is, to be able to participate. In my brain, I can think of like a menu-based system that shows the vicinity around you of what's for sale. So you don't have to walk up to every single person or NPC set up by a person in a little stall or whatever. You don't have to go up to each one to see what they sell. You don't have to read the text above the NPC or person's name to see a generalization of what kind of things they're selling. But you can pull up a menu that just looks within a radius of where you're standing for anything for sale and making it easier, but then also giving the power to the players. This kind of sandboxy, freeform kind of philosophy when developing an MMORPG creates something that you can't have when you bake in the systems. When you bake in everything that is needed for the player, then the player doesn't get to decide anything. They're literally only playing through the systems you created. That's a little boring. That's a little bit superficial, and it doesn't last long. And it doesn't create memories. The EC Tunnel created a ton of memories for EverQuest 1 players that they still remember fondly today. Not all memories are fond. There were issues, but for the most part, that was a good experience. And most people who were around back then agree and say they missed that and they thought it was a great time in MMO gaming. And that's just one more tiny piece of the puzzle. We don't know their solution yet, but we do know that they have mentioned that they have something in place for contested mobs or raid bosses or things like that in an open world environment where there is no instancing. Once again, we don't know what it is yet, but I do hope that it's not just a system that tells us exactly how to do it and forces behavior. And I know that that may not be the popular opinion, but I do hope that there's enough freedom within the way that they're coding and designing this game to allow the players the freedom to make choices and to affect the game and to leave a mark in the world. And that's very tricky, because then you do allow issues, okay? Because human beings behave differently. Different human beings behave differently. So, and it's out of your control to a certain level. Now they can put kind of like the system I just talked about. This seems like something they're going to go with Pantheon as far as like an auction house type system or being able to sell and trade with other players. It has a system, but the system is open enough for the players to be able to influence it. And I think that's really important in this day and age. If we're going to evolve the MMORPG space, then maybe we need to get a little bit away from these concrete developer answers to everything. A really good game that left a lot of options wide open on the table for the actual player base to decide was Ultima Online. Ultima Online is its own beast because of this. People make events like crazy, or at least they used to during its prime time. These events and games and tournaments and all kinds of things that give content back to the players and allow the players to create content within the systems built in the game because of its sandbox type appeal. And that's something really fascinating about Ultima Online that almost is unique to just it. And it's something that makes a lot of memories. I'm not telling Visionary Realms how to make their game. Of course not. I'm a nobody. They have all the experience and all the talent to do this. I'm speaking to the community waiting for Pantheon and just putting a little idea in your head. The EverQuest, this freeform things that were in EverQuest that honestly made it so good, there wasn't as much thought put into it. That's just how it ended up. Because it was so early in the MMO genre's life, it basically gave birth to it. Ultima Online was released before. They're practically in development at the exact same time. Ultima did get out faster, but EverQuest was the three-dimensional representation of MMO, and it was so different. All the common day MMOs went with the EverQuest formula. It's been changed over the years, obviously. Immediately started seeing changes, but the thing is what I'm trying to say here is when they were developing EverQuest, some of this wasn't on purpose. It's just the way that it was because they didn't have enough data and information yet to make choices that would have made it not like that, because it was a new, fresh thing. So basically, a not so nice way of putting it is they didn't know what they were doing. You know what I mean? They didn't really know. And they couldn't have. It would have been impossible at that time. The internet was still fairly new. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, forget about online games. The internet was fairly new. That's just kind of what I've been thinking about. And when I read that comment, it's been swimming around in my head. By the way, guys, I read all the comments. I read literally every comment. I may not reply to every single one, but I guarantee you that your comment runs across my eyeballs. I read every single one of them. This channel is growing thanks to you guys sharing my videos, popping them up on Reddit, putting them on Twitter, retweeting them, which, by the way, please follow me on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, go check me out, the NAPALM, because I've got an embarrassingly low Twitter following, and I do actually spend a lot of time there, so there's a lot of conversation, a lot of MMO jokes and memes, and a lot of good fun I'm having on Twitter, as well as, if you're not on Twitter already, Pantheon Rise of Fallen does a lot of really good discussions on there and post screenshots, and there's a lot of good community going on Twitter with Pantheon Rise of Fallen, in my opinion. But anyway, didn't mean for that to become a plug, but just think about it, guys, about how quick we are to ask the developer to have a solution for a problem that maybe it would be better for the community to have the freedom to decide ourselves, for servers to actually be different because the community has chosen a different path. Wouldn't it be cool if there was this area that on your choice server they decided to set up camp, and that's where the majority of people went to buy their wares? It was the popular spot. But on other servers they decided other things. They picked different places and set up different camps, and that you know where you go to do that. And that's just, once again, a small example of the more freedom you have when you're playing your game, the more options you have on how you play the game. There will always be a meta, which everybody says this is the best way to do it, and by golly geez, you're gonna save 4 milliseconds of your time and you're going to do 7 damage more. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be a meta, and that's not what I'm talking about, because the majority of MMO players aren't chasing the meta. There's a large group of people who do, and I get it. You want to be the best. There's nothing wrong with competition and pushing to be the best. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not the majority. The majority of people just want to have fun, enjoy the game, relax, and do their thing. And the more freedom you have, the more options you have to do your thing. I'm not gonna make this video any longer than it already has. I just want to put that thought in your head, guys, because as we move further into the knowings of Pantheon Rise of Fallen, and we move into knowing more about how the game's gonna work, the systems in place, and all that kind of thing, I don't want the community to always beg the developer to come up with a solution, to give us too many rules. Some rules are good and needed, I agree. But sometimes it's okay to set up a more open type system that allows the community to come up with a solution within that parameter. Hope you enjoyed the video today, guys, and once again, if you have not subscribed, smash that subscribe button. Hit it so hard with your left click that it breaks into pieces. And also the like button, smash that too, because that helps my video get to more people and to convert more to the light. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.